Hey everyone, how are you? So I figured I would give my input. There was some weird story yesterday. Um, I don't know if it was like a riot or what it was. I guess social media got involved and there was like a electronics giveaway or something. So pull this over and we'll take a look. All right, hopefully you can see that. Let's go.
Interrupt you, NYPD commenting on.
All right, first off, before we even get into it, uh, you got some like a wardrobe malfunction here. I mean, you're supposed to be modest, right? We all should. It's not just women, but we should all be kind of modest in how we dress. This is cut way too low. This poor gentleman here is going to have to exert some extreme eye discipline not to be drawn into any lustful areas down here. So this outfit here is out of control. This is too much. Like you can see, right? She's accentuating, and I know in today's society this seems normal, right? Um, just the way people dress. It's a very sex-based culture, but this is too much, right? His eyes are going to have problems right down here, so that's going to be problematic. So she's going to basically cause him to sin. He's going to have lustful desires. His eyes are going to deceive him and get him in trouble. So this is way too much here. This seems much better. You can always get into the discussion of what's too tight and what is like nice and loose fitting, and something that's not too form fitting that just shows off things that shouldn't be shown off. Things that are supposed to be shared with your husband or wife. Um, yeah. So this one's clear, right? I mean, you could see the problem here. It's going to cause for this poor guy here and anybody else she interacts with. So she's accentuating things here that shouldn't be accentuated. Like she's definitely worth more than that, and clearly she has this job as a reporter, so I'm sure she's smart and has lots to offer. But this is just unnecessary. This, right? You know, Obviously we can get into the discussion about maybe things are too tight or a little too form fitting, for someone's body style. But nice high neckline here. She's not. There's no V-neck going on here. So, but it's beside the point. It's just figured I would comment. So let's keep going.
Chaos that ensued in Union Square. Let's go there now.
All right. It's really quick. Chief Manager, Chief of Department, standing here with me is Chief Kip, Chief of Transit. Earlier today at about 1:30 p.m., NYPD became aware of a crowd forming in Union Square.
Union Square, okay.
It was quickly determined that an influencer was posting on social media about showing up to Union Square and was encouraging all of his followers to come to the park. There was some posts also about giving away some gaming systems.
All right, so I guess that's it, right? Social media influencer apparently has a quite a following. Looks like, and is going to give away some free stuff, free electronics, free gaming systems, and I've been a gamer like a large part of my life. Like that's how I got into computers, and I got into like building computers and things like that because I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't afford to buy a computer. So I liked computer games, and that's what got me into it. So then I got into like piecing together computer parts and building them. So I get it. I've been a gamer most of my life, so I can relate to this story for sure.
Approximately 3 p.m., the post went viral, and
Uh oh,
thousands of people began to arrive at Union Square.
thousands.
Soon the park and the surrounding streets were overrun with people. They were obstructing both vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
Okay, so we we're all created beings, right? So God created all of us, the universe, the animals, people, insects, everything, everything. So at the end of the day, there's only one ultimate authority, and that is God, right? The all-knowing, all-powerful God. It's God. What else can you say? So we only really have one authority all the way at the top. That's who everyone and everything answers to. But at the same time, we live in a civil society, right? So you there are rules, right? We live in cities, we enjoy the city services, and we live in a nation, and we have a president. We have like a governmental structure there. They provide services, and we kind of, we grow up here and we agree to live in it, right? So, and we vote in this country. It's democracy, right? So there are rules to follow. Like you can't have lawlessness. If you had lawlessness and chaos, you wouldn't be able to protect your property. Somebody would just come take all your stuff, your house. They would burn it down. People would they'd be like just roaming nomads, just running around taking whatever they want. So, yes, there is only one ultimate authority, God, but there are also other, civil authorities and things like that. And they have rules too. God's rules are ultimate and they supersede anything else. God's rules supersede everything, but at the same time, we still live in society, right? So there are other rules we have to follow. If you borrow a book from the library, you're supposed to take it back. There's an agreement there. So there are other rules too. But at the end of the day, any of those other rules that go against God's rules, those get overridden because at the very, very top, there's a certain core set of rules amongst others, which I'll get them all put together. But those supersede anything because at the end of the day, like, you're going to answer to God in this life and after you die. No one else has that kind of power except for God. That's the one person that, whatever bill gets written there, it's going to get paid. So, but still, we live in a civil society. There are rules that we have to follow. I got in a car accident. Somebody hit me in the rear, and somehow I got a ticket when I got hit in the rear. So I have to go to court and fight it. That's, those are the laws that I live under right now. So, but just a little aside.
The NYPD responded by calling a mobilization and was.
Sorry, it's back to the actual point. It's early. Sorry. So yeah, you can't be blocking the road, right? There are rules and laws about blocking the road. The road is for people to drive on and probably bicycles and things like that. I don't know a lot about New York. I think I've passed around it maybe once in my life. I've been to upstate New York. That was awesome. I was up at the Finger Lakes. Amazing. Loved it. Keuka Lake is awesome. I think Seneca Lake, there was a couple up there. So it's really beautiful. But New York City, I think I passed around it like one time maybe. Never really been there. So eventually I'll get there. But either way, you can't be standing in the road. Like, the road is for cars. That's why they have laws against like blocking traffic and things like that. People have to get to work. They have things to do. Emergency vehicles got to get through there, right? So you can't just be blocking the road. Especially in this event. I don't think, from what they say, there's like no permit or anything. So, but yeah, you can't be blocking the road. And that goes for all the protesters too. There's a way to protest and have your voice heard. But just don't be blocking the road.
To the large crowd. As the crowd grew, so did our mobilization. The crowd was swarmed when the influencer finally arrived at the park. Individuals in the park began to commit acts of violence towards the police.
Yeah, that's a no-no. They're out there trying to do their job, trying to keep the peace, trying to make sure people don't get hurt. And then you're going to go attack a cop because you want a PlayStation or Xbox or whatever gaming system electronics it is. Like, that's ridiculous. You're just acting like lawless hooligans at that point.
In the public, there was a construction site within the Union Square Park, and people broke into the park and they began to grow articles that belong to the construction site. The park, and they began to grow articles that belong to the construction site. Paint cans, bottles, rocks. You had people walking around with.
That's ridiculous. So I guess they broke into this. So it's like you're breaking in, and then you're stealing, right? That's the construction company's property. So you're stealing things, and then you're destroying them. So you didn't pay for them. You go in there and you steal them, and then you throw them around and get paint everywhere, and you're causing a problem someone else is going to have to clean up. So you're acting like absolute hooligans.
Axes and other tools from the construction trade.
Stealing.
And additionally, individuals were also lighting fireworks, and they were throwing them towards the police.
Right. Which you could easily take an eye out. Something bad could happen. Some unforeseen things could happen that you're not planning on. And then you're in a whole heap of... Look at this. Hopping all over the cars. Look at this lawlessness. This is ridiculous. I mean... You can't act like this. This is crazy.
Towards each other. The influencer, we were able to eventually get him out of the park and remove him for safety reasons. Our officers exercised great restraint despite the...
Look at this. Wow.
...that they were met with in the act.
That's true because as far as discretion goes, like I can definitely see like how cops could have overstepped their bounds and like started popping like tear gas and things like that to like disperse the crowd. I'm sure they have other means available that they could have used besides just trying to nicely ask a mob, to disperse. Because when you get this many people together and you're all kind of breaking the laws, then you'll have like people. I'm sure they're streaming on their phones, right? So you've got people trying to one up each other and like they want to act like crazier and crazier, trying to go viral and get some kind of video that's going to be seen by like thousands of people or tens of, or a million, who knows? Um, but yeah, so it's interesting, right? Everyone's trying to be famous and they want to get more crazy videos. They want to go viral. So yeah, it's people like money and fame and power and things, luxury items, electronics. So it's like a feeding frenzy out there.
Violence they were met with. Ultimately, myself and our leadership team, working in tandem with our department attorneys, did declare this gathering an unlawful assembly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The NYPD offered multiple, and I do mean multiple, opportunities for the crowd to leave.
Yeah, and I will say they showed restraint because, I mean, I'm sure, like, per their policies or whatever, anything could happen in these crowds, right? Someone could have a gun in there and things could break out and get really nasty really quick. And if you start shooting in a crowd like this, you would easily hit multiple people, right? It's possible. So I'm sure they would have been justified in just popping tear gas all over the place and dispersing the crowd, which would have been easier, right? I'm sure it would have been easier for them just to tear gas everybody and get them out of there, as opposed to, trying to nicely talk to a mob of people, which is not the easiest thing to do because they're probably not listening, right? They're already blocking traffic. You're stealing paint cans. Some of them, maybe not all of them, but you're jumping on cars. You're just acting like hooligans out there. So lawless hooligans. Probably not all of them, but at the end of the day, you're blocking the street. So if nothing else, you're impeding traffic. Scary.
We tried to give them a means of egress for them to exit the park and exit the streets. After numerous warnings and after being assailed, hit with rocks and bottles and other debris, we started to make arrests to clear out the park. The total number of arrests is still being tallied at this point, and we're still doing evaluations for some of our members. We did have members that sustained some injuries out here. At this
People
time,
got
we
injured
successfully
over
dispersed
some
the park.
gaming systems.
We still have crowds mulling around Manhattan, and we have officers following them, preventing them from destroying property, looting, and other things.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like, like they had those big riots and whatever. I think it was like a year or two ago. They had all these riots and Antifa would show up and just act crazy and they're attacking people and spray painting things and setting things on fire and just acting like savages, basically. Yeah, I mean, this one isn't nearly that bad. Thankfully, people just wanted electronics and, they wanted to be, it's probably just like social media, right? It's dangerous. I mean, social media is great. You can reach people around the world. You can get people around the world same day. You can release it. It's free to release it. So it's a great tool. It can be used as that. But it's also, you got to feed the beast. Everybody wants to be famous and you got to get your pride all boosted up. I want to get the likes and the shares and all this stuff. So, it can pull you in, and it can make you want to do crazier and crazier things to be seen. So social media is nice. It's a good tool, but it can definitely pull you in. And once it starts tugging on those pride strings, it can get dangerous.
That. And we'll continue to be out here and we'll continue to disperse this crowd until they're all gone. We're using our drone technology to help us monitor the situation. Of course, our aviation unit is up there as well. Our officers still being met with some resistance after numerous warnings, and we're still making some additional arrests. This mobilization is ongoing, and as I said before, we will be here until this crowd disperses. At this point, I'll take any questions.
And not only that, you got to figure, I mean, I know they got a huge police department in New York, so maybe they got enough people and this is no big deal, but you figure, while they're dealing with this, it's like opportunity costs. There's other places they could be that they can't be because they're dealing with this. And, I'm quite amazed that they didn't tear gas these people or do something, they were very like nice and polite about it from the way it seems.
Josh, ABC 7.
Josh.
We heard reports of injured officers. A woman told me she saw a cop getting jumped and your shirt. We have video of you being attacked. Your shirt shows. Can you talk about injuries to members of the service and your own experience in that?
Absolutely, Josh. And I believe the woman's account is possibly right, even though I don't know exactly what she's speaking about. Our officers were attacked. We were in there. We were crushed. We were pushed. I had officers on the floor. As you see, I'm a little embarrassed because I'm very dirty.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So, I don't know whoever the influencer is. Like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna possibly get some charges out of this. You caused this, and all the resources they had to expend to deal with it, and all the money and like manpower and all that. Now you got all these injuries. Who knows, right? Who knows how these people were? The police officers were hurt. So, dealing with this over some gaming systems.
Here, but
I mean, you've got people in other countries, right, that are literally right now drinking water out of a dirty pond with probably like little worms in it and stuff like that. Like, that's what they're dealing with. They're bicycling like 15 miles with no shoes on, with bundles of like agricultural products on their bike around these windy roads trying to get somewhere to make $1. They might make $15 a month, right? That's how they're hustling. And we're out here rioting for a couple of gaming systems, running around with our phones, trying to one-up each other and get more likes and shares and stuff. And I know it's a bit hypocritical, right? Because I use social media, but my finances are extremely limited, extremely. So this is one way I can get the message out.
Middle of the crowd, I was hit with multiple objects as well. I think I have a couple of injuries, but I'll figure that out once I have time to think about it. Yeah, we had one or two officers removed, and we had officers out here. I had officers who got hit and were hurt, but they stayed and helped us to control this.
We're going to go Associated Press.
Yeah,
Hi, sir.
I'm wondering if there is any kind of action that might be taken or could be taken against the influencer.
Absolutely. We're in contact with the influencer. I have our legal team here. I'm going to have a discussion with our Commissioner Caban in a little bit, and then we'll make a decision there.
Well, I want to know if there's anything specific that you could be talking with.
Well, we'll discuss with our legal department about inciting a riot.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, the influencer, I'm not familiar with them, but yeah, you might want to get an attorney. You might have some legal troubles on the way.
The charges.
We're going to go over to Matt. How many of them will accept the injuries? And is he actually giving away PlayStations, or is that just a claim?
That I'm not sure in terms of the PlayStation. I personally observed young people walking out with their heads bleeding from their heads, bleeding from on their faces. I personally observed young people having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, asthma attacks. There was multiple, people were suffering out here. It was a
for a PlayStation or Xbox, you're going through all that. Oh, this place is a trip.
A lot of people. It was uncontrolled. It took us a while to get it under control, and a lot of young people got hurt.
Was that in competition with the police, or was that in the riot?
No.
And I guess that's on the influencer, right? I mean, you kind of created that situation. You brought them all down there. You told them you're going to give them free electronics and probably pumped it up on social media. And I hope they were worth it. I hope you're playing Call of Duty and you're really enjoying it, because you literally went down there and broke all kinds of laws to get free gaming equipment.
Most of it was within the park. The young people in the park throwing objects at each other. They were dancing. They were doing a whole lot of things, but they were hurting each other.
Dancing's okay, depending on the kind of dancing. Not that dirty dancing stuff. Not sex with your clothes on. Not that kind of dancing. Throwing things at each other, that's off limits.
That I don't have an answer for.
Matt, we're going to move on. Mark Morales, CNN.
Well,
What's the estimate of how many people were here, and where is this YouTuber streaming now? What precinct is he?
We do have him. I don't know exactly which precinct he's in. We have him. In terms of people, it was thousands of people out here. It wasn't hundreds of people. It was thousands, and mostly young people out here.
All right, King Moses, AM New York.
Well, thousands is nice, right? That's one good thing about social media, is you can get a hold of like a lot of the younger generation. I mean, even me, look, I'm 44 years old and I use social media a lot. So it's not just the young folks, but young people especially, social media is great. Like, can you imagine if Jesus had access to social media back in his day? Would have changed the world.
We're going to definitely work on this. This is something we will have an after-action review of in terms of how we responded, how we're monitoring social media, and how we can prevent this in the future. We have encountered things like this before, but never to this level of dangerousness where young people would not listen to our commands. They were fighting each other.
This reminds me of flash mobs. I'm kind of showing how old I am now. But remember they had like flash mobs and people would bust out and start dancing all over the place? This is just like the bad version of that, I guess. Based on like consumerism, luxury items, electronics. So this one's the very, very bad version.
Hurting each other, they were turning our attacks on us. We had to defend ourselves and we had to make arrests.
Alfredo Costa, Telemundo. Approximately, Chief, how many people were arrested today?
Quite a few. I don't have an exact answer. We loaded up a city bus.
Oh.
The bus. We had young people attacking the bus, trying to pull people off the bus.
Excuse me. Y'all are crazy. You go down there and get arrested for a gaming system. What are those things, like $300, $400, something like that? Right? You just got arrested. You know how much that's going to cost you to get bailed out? Plus, you're going to have a record. Who knows what that charge is going to be? That's going to impact your employment down the road. And you're also just setting up like a bad example for yourself. I mean, when you start to engage in stuff like that, chances are you're going to do something like that again. You're raising the prevalence of that. So this is just bad all around. And now you're going to catch a charge over that. That's going to be on your record. Hopefully you're not 18, because if you're 18, I mean, that's going to stay with you for a while. So
we had to send resources there to protect the bus.
And then you attack the bus. Don't you understand? Like, these cops all have like the cameras on. They got a drone up there. There's cameras on the building. The ATMs have cameras. There's cameras everywhere. You're on a camera 24 hours a day, either on your phone or the ATM or the gas station or the supermarket or eyes in the sky. Like, you're always on video. So even things you think you get away with, they could just be going through that tape later on and come snatch you up in like 2 weeks. So you have to be very, very careful. And not only that, who cares about the video? Like, God can see everything you're doing. So when you're acting lawless like that, and you're out there breaking things and negatively impacting society, you think God's okay with that? With creating chaos and throwing things and stealing? Obviously, you can't do that. Vandalism, that's a no-go. You're damaging your environment. You're hurting people. You're hurting services, right? Like, you damage a building, they're providing services to the community. You can't do that.
Very dangerous situation.
Over a gaming system.
The question is, how does something like this happen? Is there no monitoring at all or anything on this?
How does it happen? Because everyone wants to be famous. That's how. Everyone wants to be famous. Everyone wants to be part of like some big movement, some big cause. So that's it, you know? We live in a society, at least here in the U.S., right? That's where I live. Like, we live in a society based on this right here. We're all about us, you know? Us, our identity. Not so much like how we can help others, but like how we can help us in our very small circle of influence, family, friends, things like that. So we have to get away from like us and like focus on like helping others through whatever way you can do that. You could help with the information you have. You could help with the finances you have if you're blessed like that, or if you're blessed with intelligence and you have information, that's your blessing. You can help with that. Or you can help with your sweat. You can just get out there and help somebody with work. You know, whatever you have available. It can be the information. It can be your hands. You can get to work. It could be your finances if you have that. Just find a way to help people. But We need to focus a lot less on this, on who we are in our small circle, and more like helping others, right? Getting out there.
Well, this speaks to the power of social media and the danger of social media. We do monitor social media. When I go back later on this evening, I will have an after action to determine exactly what our steps were. We can't allow this to happen again in the future.
We're going to take one more question. Joe Marino, New York Post. Chief,
They'll use artificial intelligence. They'll get all that built in. So.
Yes, this was not pre-planned with the police department.
Oh, clearly not. And here's the issue: is now they've seen how successful it is, and this social media person, even though this is like bad attention, it's almost like kids, right? Like sometimes kids don't even care. Bad attention, any attention is good attention, right? Even good attention or bad attention, either way, some kids just want attention. So now that this has been successful, you could have copycats. You could have people in other cities like they see this and you're like, oh, this was successful. Let me go do this, right? And then you got these little, basically flash riot, I guess you'd call it. You could set these up anywhere. So, and then you're just going to have more stuff getting destroyed, more people in the city being impacted, more police officers being hurt, more fire departments and police like being distracted from what they should be working on, normal calls, to now they're dealing with this, which is based on consumerism, based on like, I want to be famous, I want to get my social media likes and my shares and all that good stuff. So it's bad.
To something that was spontaneous, and as I just said in answering the last question, the power of social media, the danger of social media. Listen, we're not against young people having a good time. We're not against young people gathering, but it can't be to this level where it's dangerous. A lot of people got hurt.
Lawful gatherings.
All right, thank you everyone for your time and attention. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, there we go. Right. So, yeah, so I just wanted to provide my input on that. But yeah, just lawless activity. It reminds me of those riots back when everyone's destroying everything and burning places down, just being ridiculous. So just be careful. So social media is great. You can reach a large audience with it. You can get the message out there. But just, it can be a deadly little trap, right? It gets you so focused on you and your pride and your likes and your shares and things like that. So you just got to be careful with it. But yeah, absolutely. You can't be blocking traffic. You can't be running around breaking into construction sites. You can't be vandalizing things and breaking things. You're acting like absolute hooligans over a couple of gaming systems, right? That's what it is. So just wanted to provide my 2 cents on that. But Saturday, so everyone have a wonderful weekend. And just remember, God loves you, wants to provide guidance to help all of us, right? So we can protect us as people, our souls, animals, the planet, everything, right? It's the biggest salvation project ever, and we're all part of it. So enjoy the ride. Have a great weekend.